I just had a really good meeting. So I've talked a little bit, and you've probably seen some of the videos about planning gain. I'm currently looking at taking 16 of my houses and over time turning them into flats. So going up into the loft, going back out to the extension, maybe looking at a couple of granny flats as well, but it just depends on kind of bin and bike storage. And what was lovely, Connor, who's worked with our business for 2 summers in a row, last year he worked in the lettings department. This year as a second year architect student, he did half of his year's placement with us, kicking off this project. And then he ended up, we chose the architect, and then he ended up getting a job with that architect. So I met up with them. They've done the surveys on 5 of my houses so far. 4 are to turn into... 4 basically, well, what we looked at was 4 were going to turn into houses, from houses to flats, and 1 is to build another house, a detached house in the garden of one of my houses. And actually what we're going to end up doing is 3 are going to be permitted development, get the extra space, and then go ahead into the flats. The 4th won't give us a size, so I'm going to move it from a 2-bed house to a 5-bed house, and then the 5th one is still going to be building a house in the garden, if you see what I mean. So those are the first 5. We thought we'll do chunks of 5 at a time. And here now Connor's the one doing the drawings for them and doing the work on them, which was great. So we spent an hour and a half running through 5 designs. I go to America in 2 weeks' time. So we got a deadline for those guys to finish those plans, to get the new build house in the garden, the 4 lofts, a permitted development, and whatever extension we're doing out the back in 2 weeks' time. Basically, how to make £1 million, which is astonishing, isn't it? I mean, once you've built property, then your jigsaw's to see how can you make more out of the properties you've got. So by doing 16 houses to flats, this doesn't include, by the way, the extra new build. So take that out, because that's creating another house at probably about 200 grand, which the land's free. So it's just the build. But take out the new build house, I got 16 houses to flats. It's going to cost me roughly £1 million to do, and it's going to add £2 million to the portfolio. So how to make £1 million, go up into the loft, out to the back, turn them into flats. They're going to be valued at £1 million more than all the cost is going to be. Very, very roughly, obviously. It's not bad, is it? By using kind of an architect's intelligence, by the fact that an urban flat or an urban house made into a couple of flats is worth an awful lot more than the house itself, plus the cost to turn it into flats. And of course, more and more people are wanting flats. So for me, it's kind of I mean, clearly I don't look old enough, thank you people, but it is clearly my retirement plan. I run very, very high cash flowing HMOs, but I'm kind of really interested in travel and exploring the world and doing lots of things and doing all my online stuff for you guys, like wherever I am, and beach, laptop, all that stuff. And managing HMOs is different to managing flats. So if I can add £1 million additional value to my houses, paid for by the rent, so I don't increase my borrowing, and the revenue will be very, very similar, those flats to the HMOs, and the management of them will be much simpler. It's financial freedom. It's what we're all going for. Right. But it was nice to see Connor. It was really nice to see him doing really well. So well done him. See you soon.